Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sacred Science of Sound. I am beyond thrilled today to have Bruce Lifton here with us. Bruce is a leading research scientist, has pioneered epigenetics, is the winner of the Goy Peace Award, and author of The Biology of Belief, among so many other things. But with that, I say hello and greet you, Dr. Bruce, and thank you for joining us for the Sacred Science of Sound.
Geraldine, I am so excited to be here with you. You played that vibe that gets me into the place of, yeah, there's a good future for us. And I'm out there in the audience getting energized by your energy. And I'm here to really, I'd like to talk to this wonderful audience that you have about how
Awesome.
powerful they are in creating the world they want.
Awesome. So, you've pioneered this field of epigenetics, this molecular pathways connecting the mind and the body. And your research has opened a doorway that people can really heal. People can change their lives big time. And for those of them who are not familiar with epigenetics, could you give us the bigger picture?
Yes. Well, for years, I was teaching in a medical school. I was teaching graduate students as well. The belief that almost everybody has that genes control the character of our lives, that we inherit these genes at the moment of conception, and they're sort of like blueprints that unfold and determine the character of our life as they unfold. And we're programmed that they turn on and off and then controlling these characters. And I say, so what did I teach? And the answer was, I was teaching victimization, meaning as far as we know, we didn't pick the genes that we came with. And if you don't like the characteristics, well, you can't change the genes. And the genes are barely turning on and off independent of you. And all of a sudden I said, oh my God, my life is being controlled by genes. I am a victim of my heredity. And that's where a lot of people get afraid because they look in their family lineage. Cancer, diabetes, heart attacks are running in a family and they go, oh my God, I've had one of those genes and my future is like scary. And that was a belief. It was called genetic determinism at the time. That's what we were teaching. It means genes determine the character of your life. Since you didn't pick them, you can't change them. Then by definition, then the genes run your life and you had no control. Ha, victim it's called, okay? While I was teaching it, I was also cloning stem cells. And what are stem cells? Another word, the more accurate word for stem cell is embryonic cell, because in your body you have 50 trillion cells. We see ourselves as a single entity, but if you could see yourself through the eyes of a cell, you see, you're a community of 50 trillion cells, and a healthy community is a happy community, and a community that is in disease is having problem because there's disorder in the system. And so all of a sudden we look at this and I say, so why is it important? Because out of our 50 trillion cells, gosh, and if I say at the end of this sentence, you have just lost 3.5 million cells, that's how fast they die. Within a couple of seconds, 3.5 million cells gone. I say, ooh, at the end of a day, you have hundreds of billions of cells gone. I go, yeah, but we're still here. And I say, well, how can you still be here if your cells are 300 million, billion are dying every day? How can you be here? And the answer is because your body's community has stem cells, embryonic cells that function to replace the ones that are dying every day. And that's how you stay alive. So do you have stem cells? Are you alive? First question. If you are, well, then good, you have stem cells. And I was culturing stem cells. Excuse me, I was cloning them. That means put one stem cell in a petri dish by itself, and it divides every 10 or 12 hours. So first there's one, then there's two, then there's 4 and 8, 16, doubling, doubling, doubling. The end of the week, I have 30,000 cells in the petri dish. But the point of the experiment is they all came from one parent. So 30,000 genetically identical cells. So I split the population into 3 dishes. So I have 3 culture dishes, genetically identical cells in all the dishes. And I feed them what is called culture medium. That's what we grow cells in, a fluid. So what does it represent? I go, blood. If I grow human cells, I say, what's human blood made out of? And then I synthesize that in the lab, and we call it human growth medium. Or mouse cells, what is mouse blood made out of? and create culture medium for mice. Okay, so here's the point. 3 dishes of genetically identical cells, embryonic cells, and I changed the chemistry of the culture medium just a little bit. So I have 3 dishes, but each dish has a different culture medium, slight chemistry difference. So 3 different environments. I say, so what? I say, in dish 1, muscle. In dish 2, the stem cells form bone. In dish 3, the stem cells form fat cells. Well, I'm looking at this and all of a sudden saying, wait a minute. They're all genetically identical. The fate of the cell, muscle, bone, fat, wasn't determined by the genes. They all had the same genes. What controlled the fate of the cells? And the answer was the chemistry of the culture medium. That changes the genetics. And that was the first time I saw what is now called epigenetics. And epigenetics is this. Genetics, when we say genetic control, this character is under genetic control, that means genes are controlling the character. But we now call the new science epigenetic control. And I say, what's the difference? Epi means above. So what I call skin in Latin, epidermis. I say, what does it mean? Well, just below the layer of the skin is called dermis, and therefore the skin is above epidermis, epi. So I say, what's the new science? Epigenetic control. I said, what does that translate as? Control above the genes. I go, well, what's that? I said, well, the environment. That's why I changed the environment, and the fate of the cells was determined on the environment, not on the genes. And I go, well, wait a minute. Put this into perspective now, that little foundational basic research, put it into perspective. I say, what? I said the human body is made out of 50 trillion cells. So we are a skin-covered petri dish. I got 50 trillion cells under my dish here, right here, right? And I have the original culture medium. What? Blood. That's what we designed culture medium from. So then the question, this is now, we're getting to the point. I'll get there. We're getting to the point, and that is this. You have cells in your body. They're all genetically identical, but the fate of the cell is based on the culture medium. And the culture medium in your body is called blood. And I say the chemistry of the culture medium controls the fate of the cells. I go, yeah, that's the same whether the cell's in a skin-covered dish or the cell is in a plastic dish. So then I say, then your fate is not controlled by your genes. It's controlled by the chemistry of the blood, which will determine the expression of the genes. And then, so the brain is the chemist. That's putting the chemistry into the blood. Becomes the biggest one of all. Finally, Bruce is getting to the whole point. So what chemicals should the brain put into the blood, controlling my genetics? And the answer is, what's the picture in your mind? I say, what do you mean? It's like paint by numbers in reverse. You don't start with the paints and then build a picture. You start with a picture in your mind. And then the brain translates that into the chemistry that is complementary to the picture. So what's the point? Your cells are dependent on the signal from the environment. The environmental signal comes from the consciousness, and the consciousness is basing a signal on what your vision is. Health, happiness, love, disease, threat, poverty. I don't care. Whatever that picture is, it's going to be translated into chemistry that matches the picture. And the chemistry is going to go to the body, and the cells are like pixels in a picture. Whatever chemistry you put in, it will reproduce that picture that was in your mind. And all of a sudden it says, wait, then if I change my mind, I change my biology. I go, that's what epigenetics is all about. Your mind controls your genes. And then all of a sudden I said, but it's the picture in your mind that controls the genes. And then all of a sudden you say, well, yeah, but I'm the one that's creating the picture. Yeah, and you're also the one that can change a picture too. If you don't like the picture, change the picture, and the body changes right along with it.
Dr. Bruce, you are one of the happiest research scientists out there. What is that joy? I mean, there's actually joy if we talk about sound, and we'll
Yeah,
integrate sound.
we're going to get into that because
Sound,
it's all vibration. It's all vibration. But before we get into that, I have to admit this. I told you about the experiments that I did. I came to the conclusion and said, oh my God, your consciousness is creating the chemistry of the blood, which is then creating your genetic activity. And I go, so what does that mean? I say, well, you change the consciousness, you change your genetics. And I go, well, then you're not a victim, you're a master. It depends on the picture that you see in your head. And this is the different, what is a placebo? I am sick. The doctor says, here's the pill that's going to heal you. It's great. As look, even the color is purple. I love that. That's part of the ad. Oh, it's purple. I go, okay, why is it relevant? Because if you believe the doctor that this is a pill that's going to heal you, what's the picture in your mind? Healing. I'm going to be healed. The picture. You take the pill, you get healed, and then you find out the sugar pill. I go, why was it relevant? I said, the pill didn't heal you. It was the picture in your mind that healed you. It's called placebo. Positive vision led to positive chemistry, which led to positive genetics. And I go, wow, we always talk about placebo. Everyone knows that, so I didn't make anything new right here. But let me add something that most people don't know, because this is more important than all that positive thinking. And that is, what about negative thinking? I go, oh, negative thinking is equally powerful in controlling the blood chemistry, but it's in the opposite direction. Positive thinking is going toward life and health and healing. Negative thinking is going toward death. I go, so what does that mean? I said, positive thoughts can heal you of anything. Negative thoughts can cause any disease and even straight out death. And I say, why is it relevant? Because if you look at the ratio of the thoughts that we have in our head, the vast majority of thoughts are disempowering, self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs. I say, well, if these are the thoughts coming out, then the chemistry is going to not take me toward healing, placebo effect. It's going to go toward the negative consequence, which scientifically is called nocebo. I go, what does it mean? I said, it's the power of thinking that controls your life, positive or negative. So it was interesting. Here's the point then in my life, coming back to your story, and that is this. I understand the science now. I'm looking at my laboratory research. I'm putting the whole picture together. Oh my God, I'm creating my culture medium, which is then controlling my genetics, and my thoughts are controlling this. And then I said, well, if you can control your thoughts, you could have heaven on earth. I got all excited because theoretically it was like, oh, one piece of paper, man, that's a, so I grab as many people back then, 40 years ago or so, I grab as many together as I can. I say, I want to tell you about the new science, because if you understand the new science, you can create the most fabulous life. And then the audience starts to go, you know, Lipton, your life doesn't look that good for a guy who says you know this stuff. And all of a sudden I almost said, thank God I didn't say it. Almost said, well, do as I say, not as I do. It's like, holy crap. I'm trying to tell people, here's the plan to having a great life. I had all the plan in my head, but my life was still the same life of negative activities and all that as I had before. And all of a sudden I realized, the biggest understanding is this. The conscious mind can take this awareness, which we just talked about, and anybody could, you know, if we just take a quiz on what I just said, people go, yeah, I knew it. See, I knew what he just said. I said, did it change your life? No. I say, why? Look, I knew it all, 40 years ago. And I went out there to tell people, and I said, wow, with all that knowledge, you think my life changed? No. It's like, oh, what's wrong? And the answer was, the knowledge that we just talked about is in the conscious mind, which creative, what I just said, you can understand and make sense out of. But your life is being run by programs in the subconscious mind that you got from your family and your community between the last trimester of pregnancy and age 7. You were programmed because your brain was like a video recorder to see what was going on and understand, that's how behavior works. That's how my dad behaves. That's how my mom behaves. This is why my dad and my mom are in this relationship. And if I'm a woman or a girl growing up, I look at my mom and I say, yeah, I want a dad. So the characteristics of the dad become what that girl will look for. If it's a boy, it's the other way around. I want a mate that has the characteristics of my mom. And then you come from a family like I did. I said, I don't want to mate like anybody in my family because that doesn't work very well. So it was a simple result. The bottom line was this. I had to understand that I had to take my conscious awareness and make it a subconscious program. And once I did that, my life changed. And you say, why am I so happy? Because honestly, no matter what, ever since that time, I don't have a doctor. I have happiness and joy. I wake up every day and I go, what? Heaven on earth. It's heaven on earth. And a lot of people do that when they wake up from what? What is called the honeymoon. They fall in love, and no matter how blah, 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 blah their life has been, the day they fall in love, 24 hours later, oh, life is so beautiful. Everything's so wonderful. I go, your life sucked your whole life. You meet a person, and 24 hours later, it's heaven on earth. And the whole understanding of that was that's the first time that most people stopped playing the programs that they got before age 7 and started creating from their conscious wishes and desires. And what did they create? Heaven on earth. And I go, so what's the point about that? I say, heaven on earth has always been here. It's only our consciousness that we start doing other behavior that eliminates it. Change the consciousness and subconscious programming, and heaven on earth can be every day of your life. I had to go back into my life programming that I got from my family and my parents and all that, and say, you know, these behaviors are sabotaging me. And I had to rewrite them. And after eliminating those negative ones, guess what? I wake up and my conscious mind wishes to be heaven on earth, and my subconscious has programs of heaven on earth. And so that's why I smile every day, because I'm living heaven on earth.
I know, Bruce. I mean, your joy is just so contagious. Whenever I've heard you speak live or have met with you, your joy is it's beyond. And I was curious, where does that, you just explained it, where does that come from, what you've researched?
Well, basically, let's take a very quick insight, and it'll make sense instantly. I say this: the brain is a computer. Everybody acknowledges it's a computer. Yeah, it is. It's the most powerful computer known to humanity. Is the human brain. We can't even make that. It's the most powerful computer. I say, yeah, but it's a computer. And I say, there's a characteristics of a computer, and that is what? Number one, a computer only works when you have an operating system. So if you buy a brand new computer, you get it home from the store, you can push on, and it boots up. It's got an operating system. I say, yeah, by the last trimester of pregnancy, a child's brain operating system is engaged. And then I say, what? Well, I just bought the brand new computer. I put it home, plugged it in, turned it on, it booted up, and now I say, do something like write, draw, make a spreadsheet, or whatever. I say, oh, no, I can't do that. I say, why not? I don't have any programs. To use the computer, not only must it boot up, but it must have programs that I can use to engage. And once the programs are in, then I can type on the keyboard and put my data into the program, okay? So here comes the idea. A child's brain operating system, last trimester of pregnancy, no programs. So what happens is the brain for the first 7 years of a child is at a lower vibration than consciousness. And you go, what is vibration and consciousness? I say, you put wires on a person's head and you can read their brain activity, and it's based on electrical vibrations, and there are different levels of vibration. And consciousness is a higher level of vibration. A lower level of vibration, the name of it is given theta, is not conscious, it's record. And so I say, what? The brain of a child from the last trimester of pregnancy through age 7 is predominantly in theta. I say, so what does that mean? I say, the child is observing like a video recorder, everything, how to behave. Well, I watch, and as a boy, I'm focused on watching my father. However he behaves, I just recorded that. Now I have a program. How do I behave? Well, I need a behavior. I already got a program. It's my father's. Push the button, boom, I'm my father. I got the program, okay? So the first 7 years is downloading programs, but you don't get a chance to type on the keyboard yet. You need a higher vibration, alpha. Then later, beta, which is even higher consciousness, alpha, calm consciousness, beta, focus consciousness. And I go, so what? And I say, age 7, you start to get conscious. And I say, that's the beginning when you can type on your computer and use the program, okay? So basically it says what? Brain is a computer. It's got an operating system last trimester of pregnancy. It's got download programs for 7 years. And after 7 years, you are given access to control the program, okay? So I say, so why is it relevant? I say, Because first of all, 70% of the programs that we downloaded by observing mother, father, family, community, 70% of those programs are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting beliefs. Who do you think you are? That's not good enough. You're not smart. You're not pretty. You're not this. You're not that. A child under 7 is just taking those words. It's a recording. I'm not beautiful. I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. And I go, wow, cool. I say, why? Well, those are the programs. After age 7, I can play those programs. And it's like, whew, you don't want to really play a lot of those because most of them are negative. So I say, okay, so the conscious mind the difference between the two, conscious mind is creative. That's the one that's on the keyboard. You can type whatever you want. Subconscious mind, just the program, whatever the program is, okay? And I say, so when I'm in my conscious mind, I'm creating. Oh, creating wishes and desires. If I say, Geraldine, darling, tell me what you want out of your life. You're going to think, and you're going to be creative with your thinking. This is what I want. I go, great. Now I say, so your wishes and desires are in your conscious mind? I go, yes. And what's in your subconscious? Programs, mainly from other people. Okay, so I say, well, the hell with the programs. I'm going to, use my conscious mind and create all my wonderful wishes and desires. And I go, good idea, problem. What's the problem? Thinking is the problem. What do you mean that? What the hell is thinking got to be a problem? I go, Geraldine, darling, today is Tuesday when we're recording this. Can you tell me what you're doing on Friday afternoon? And if it's not written right in front of you, I bet you within a second or two, you could tell me what you're doing on Friday afternoon. Can you tell me? You don't have to tell the audience. Can you say yes or no? I know what I'm doing.
For an hour, for 2
Oh,
hours.
okay. You got a vision. It's not Friday. You got a vision, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the idea about that vision is you just observed that vision. When you were looking at the screen and we were talking, you were looking at me, we were talking, but I said, tell me what you're doing on Friday. You had to think. But guess what? Thinking took your attention from, instead of looking out like we're doing, thinking is taking your attention and looking in. The answer, that 1 hour that you know what you're doing on Friday, wasn't out here. It was inside. And you go, well, and here's the problem for the whole world to understand. When look at the body first as a vehicle. We're moving around, going around the planet. I say, oh, so there's a steering wheel. I go, yeah. I say, who's got the hands on the steering wheel? Well, when wishes and desires of the conscious mind are manifesting, that's because your conscious mind says, I know what I want. Here's where I want to go. And we go toward wishes and desires. But when we are thinking, the conscious mind is no longer looking out the window. It's going inside because the answer is inside. And let's go of the wheel. Why? It's not paying attention. I say then, oh, does that mean now you're floundering? I go, no. Subconscious is autopilot. So whatever my program is, I know how to do things. I know how to drive a car. I can drive in my conscious mind with wishes and desires, or I can have a conversation with you, dearest Geraldine, in the car, and we get so involved in a conversation, then I look out the window, I go, oh, I haven't looked at the road for the last 5 minutes. And yet you're driving, everything's really cool. I go, how'd that happen? Because subconscious, which is 1,000,000 times more powerful a computer than conscious, knows how to drive. And I say, so why is that relevant? And the answer is the moment I'm thinking, my driving is controlled by my program. Not my wishes and desires, but my program. Whatever way I learn how to drive, that's exactly how I'm driving the vehicle. I say, so here's the point, conclusion. So I know we want to ask questions. So here's the point. The point is this. The conscious mind is the creative mind, wishes and desires, and when running the vehicle will take you to that destination. But when thinking occurs, then thinking says, conscious mind, let's go of the wheel. Subconscious takes over and drives you to where? To wherever the program set. So you're not running your life. The program is running your life at that moment, okay? And now comes the number. 95% of the day, we are thinking. 95% of the day, your life is not controlled by your wishes and desires. Health, happiness, great job, all the wishes you want. 95% of the day, you are playing subconscious programs, most of which are negative and disempowering. And then you're going to look at me and go, but Bruce, if I'm playing a negative program, I would know that. And I go, no, you won't, because where's your attention? Not watching the behavior that's playing, it's thinking inside. And so, Gerald, I'm going to tell an age-old story. It's got no cobwebs because I still can't find a better one to replace it. 33 years story, so it's got to be a good story. And the story is this. Okay, I'm not going to tell you a story. You know why? We, it's just basically, okay, I'll give you the story because I love it. It's still 33 years, but here it is. You have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, and you know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend has the exact same behavior as their parent. So you want to tell your friend because you're all excited. Hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. I said, back away from Bill. The moment you say that, Bill's going to, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And then the whole thing will blow up. I go, wait a minute, what's that story mean? I go, everybody else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. The only one who doesn't see it is Bill. I go, well, how do you explain that? I just said I did. How do I explain it? I said, when Bill is thinking, he's not observing the automatic program coming from the subconscious. He's thinking, he's inside. The subconscious is running, it's driving the car, it's talking, it's walking, it's doing the things you know how to do, but it's programmed by other people. And if they don't program your wishes and desires, then 95% of the day, your mind is not creating what you want. It's creating what you've been programmed to have, which could be cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Why? These are programs. Everyone says they're connected to genes. I go, cancer, there is no gene that causes cancer. Not one. But what about the cancer gene? I say, they're correlated with cancer. They didn't cause the cancer, but once a cancer is kicked off, they'll be engaged. And I go, oh, so the cause wasn't the gene. I go, nope, cancer is disharmony in the system. 50 trillion cells that live in health are in harmony, but 50 trillion cells in disease are in disharmony. So in harmony, wow, oh my God, finally lipid's coming around. Harmony, does that have anything to do with vibration?
I love you, Dr. Bruce. uh,
Yes. So we can go to the harmony story if you want to go there.
you, wherever you'd like to go. I mean, your joy is just so, it's so infectious. How did you, when you said that you spoke with your colleagues, and then you were like, "Oh, wait a minute, I gotta make sure that I'm living this. I've got to be a living example." What did you do?
The first thing, and I'll always remember because the first one was always the first time you do something like, whoa. Right shortly after this, I'm in the car. I'm supposed to go to an appointment, and it's getting later, and I'm at a red light. And it's just a long red light, and I'm sitting there, and I could hear my thoughts. Oh, damn, it's getting later. I'm not going to make it. I won't get there in time. This isn't going to happen right now. And I'm all of a sudden listening. I'm going, what the hell kind of dialogue is that? It was all negative. It was like, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. It's not. I said, that's stupid. Why? Because if my consciousness is projecting my life, then what I just did was project trouble getting to my site. Do you know what I did? It was a tape player at the time. I took a tape player box and put it against the clock. I said, I'm going to get there whatever the hell time it is. I don't need to watch the clock. If I'm late, that's when I'm late, or early, I'm early, but I'm going to get there when the car pulls into the place. I'm going to be there. And I said, so what was the result? No longer have I looked at the clock. Matter of fact, I don't even wear a watch now, about 40 years with no watch. Why? Because we're creating with this. The time is just a reflection of what you're creating. Am I late? Oh yeah, I'm late. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm going to find. And I started to realize you better control those thoughts, Lipton, because if your thoughts are manifesting in reality and you listen to your thoughts, how many of them are positive? I started to realize, Jesus, every time I started thinking about things, I would always run through the whole negative things. Well, this won't work. That won't happen. This can't be. It's like, well, if you keep saying that and you're creating your life with your thoughts, what do you think the outcome is going to be? I go, just what the problem is. And I started to taking control back and starting to say, If I start going off on a track, I have a repetition process of going off track, stop. You can stop at any choice. You have a choice moment. I don't care what your thoughts are. I'm going to die in 10 seconds. Stop. Why? Stop playing the creative game. And because we're going to go into the physics here, this is the creative game. I say, what do you mean? I say, the most valid science on this planet that has been tested more than any other science and affirmed to be true at every level so far is quantum physics. It's the most accurate of all the sciences on the planet. I go, yeah, so what? And I said, ready for principle number one? Principle number one, quantum physics. Consciousness is creating your life experience. That there's no physical universe that we perceive. This is a consequence of consciousness. And quantum physics reveals that if consciousness is creating your life, then what would be the consequence of changing your consciousness? The answer is you change your life. And then all of a sudden you say, yeah, but what consciousness am I operating from? And I go, 95% of the day you're operating from programs you got before age 7. You can't even tell me what the hell the programs are because you were being programmed in the womb. You were programmed at 0. I ask anybody out there, tell me the program you got when you were 0. I go, I wasn't there. No, consciousness didn't even kick in. You weren't there. So the idea is you can't tell me the programs you got. And I'm going to tell you, but 95% of your life comes from the program. And I say, well, what's the consequence? Now all of a sudden it's like when you put the picture together, it's like 95% of my life is coming from the program, then my life is a printout of my program. I go, why? Why? Because 95% you're manifesting with consciousness, and 95% coming from subconscious means 95% of your life is coming from programs, most of which are negative, disempowering, self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs. I go, well, then you're creating a life that's not the greatest life in the world because 95% of your life is coming from the program. I say, so what are my programs? And then I go, oh, now here's the program is, look at your life and recognize 2 facts. Fact 1, the things that you like that come into your life because you've been programmed to manifest those things. But the things that you want and you can't get there and you struggle for, health, relationships, good job, I don't care, whatever that wishing and desire from the conscious mind, you're struggling, working hard, sweating over, putting an effort to make this happen. Why are you working so hard? Answer, your program doesn't support that. And I say, so what's relevant? I say, well, you weren't there for the program, but your programs are creating 95% of your life. And so the good things that come in, don't worry about those. They already got a program. But the things that you want and you struggle to get are simply a reflection that your existing program doesn't support that resolution. Your thoughts are manifesting a life based on the program. And if your life isn't good, you don't go out and change the world. You go in and change the program. That's the secret of the whole thing, because everybody's putting their effort to go out and fix the world. I go, you didn't fix yourself? I remember from old days, because I'm old, the hippie days, they would say, hey, before you go out and save the world, take care of your own backyard. And I go, that's the same rule that should be emphasized right now. If your life is not in harmony, we have to stop taking the role of victim and saying these people and these people and these people caused this. First thing is this, you create your consciousness. If your life's not in harmony, it's a reflection of unconscious, subconscious, lower than conscious behavior. And we're all like Bill in this story, playing our programs from our dad and not observing. We're playing the program, but only seeing the result of the program. If the program isn't supportive, then the result by definition will never be supportive. And all of a sudden I say, well, then if you want to change your life, just change the program, which is a little information is needed.
Dr. Bruce, so what does quantum science say about the use of sound, vibration, frequency to change the program?
The first thing we have to understand is this, our expression of matter is an illusion. The first illusion is light. I say, why? Without light, you can't see me. Energy is invisible. So I say, without light, you can't see me. And then you laugh, that's a joke. And I go, no, you see, light sends photons, particles of light to us. But if it hits an energy field, the photons bounce back. So you're not seeing Bruce the energy, you're seeing Bruce the veneer of photons. The light is reflecting off of my energy field. This is what you see, okay? Now your energy is invisible. It even goes a lot farther than that because energy doesn't have an edge. Objects have an edge. I can separate this object from this object. Why? They have edges, separate them. Look, they're separated. And I go, in quantum physics, that's an illusion. And I go, why? Let me give you the mechanics, very straightforward. When you take an atom apart, an atom in Greek means uncuttable. And up until 1895, everyone thought the atom was just a particle, and that was what it was. But in 1895, they found smaller particles inside. They looked inside and found the little solar system that we think of when we see an atom, electrons running around the outside and a nucleus. I go, oh, smaller particles. I go, yeah. But then they said, what's a smaller particle made out of? And all of a sudden, they entered a new universe because when they said, what is the smallest particles of an atom made out of? They're energy vortices like nanotornadoes. They're not even physical. I go, why is that relevant? Well, the energy vortices of an atom create the structure. And I say, yeah, but energy is invisible. I say, yeah, it is invisible, but you can see me because the lights are on. Because the photons bounce off the energy, okay? So this becomes a real critical understanding. An atom is not a particle. An atom is like ripples on a pond when water hits, okay? And I say, and if you're watching a rainstorm on a pond, the ripples from this raindrop and the ripples from this raindrop move over each other. I say, did they just pass by? I go, no. The ripples, which are energies in waves, the ripples are a manifestation, a physical expression of an energy. So when the ripples are going across the pond, that would be the equivalent of an atom. In the center would be the vortex of a spinning nano tornado of energy, and then the ripples radiate out. And so every atom and molecule radiates light and absorbs light. Well, light is an energy. So any spectrum of light, whether it's sound or light or beyond that, atoms give off energy, atoms absorb energy. I go, why? When ripples come together, they don't just pass through, they interact, they interfere with each other. I go, so what? I say, when ripples are in harmony and they come together, both going up, both going down, both going up, I say, what happens when they overlap? I say, you add up the values of the waves. So if they're in harmony, both waves are going up and then both waves are going down. And I say, so what? I say, when you add up the values of two small waves, the result is a bigger wave because you're adding them up. You double the value. I say, so what? The height of the wave is power. You put a small pebble in and drop it in the pond, you get a little tiny wave. You drop a rock into the pond and you got a giant wave. What's the point? The energy is related to the height of the ripple. So I say, two energies in harmony come together, they add up and make greater energy. It's interference. It's called constructive. Why? Because they're adding up, they're getting bigger. And then everybody goes, oh, that's a lot of physics there. Looked into energies coming together and they're in harmony and they make constructive interference. I say, okay, let's make it simple. It's called good vibes. Good vibes are when two energies in harmony come together, they add up, and more powerful an energy is life. The more energy you have, the more life you have, the more power. So you surround yourself with what? People, things, objects, everything that give off energy. Feng Shui has been doing that for thousands of years. That's the whole idea. I put an object that has a vibration that's in harmony with me. Guess what? When I'm in the room with that object, I have more energy. Ha! That's how you designed your house. That's why you put everything into place. It wasn't an accident that the couch was here and the chair was there and the picture was there. They were hung up as crystals because every object is radiating this ripples. And if the ripples are in harmony, then you build up a place. And that's why I always say, you know, lots of living room sets have a couch and two chairs. And I go, in most people's house where they are, where they live, they'll have the one chair that they want. They have two identical chairs, one here, but I sit in this one. I don't sit in this one. It doesn't feel the same. When I sit in this one, it feels good. I say, why? because the objects that you put around focus on this seat. And when you sit on that seat, you're getting the ripples of everything around you, and it makes you feel better. Okay. So we have one set of actions. That is when the ripples are in harmony, they come together, constructive, they add up, more energy, good vibes. And that's why a person has an energy, another person has an energy. And when two people are in harmony with their energy and they come together, they feel good. They get more power. Okay. And then I say, yeah, but on the other hand, and this is now the opposite side, you got to listen. And the opposite side is this: one, they're out of harmony. One ripple is going up, the other ripple is going down. When this one's going down, this one's going up. They're out of phase, they're out of harmony. I say, why is that a problem? Well, if you add them up, just what you have to do. I say, so here's one ripple, the one that was going up, height of, let's say, +2 on a scale. And here's the other ripple going down, -2 on a scale. Add them up. 0. What is 0? No energy. So I say, oh, well, then ripples can come together and be constructive interference, add up the power, good vibes, or out of phase ripples come together. And what do? They cancel each other. It's destructive interference, and it's called bad vibes. And what are bad vibes? You feel weak, you feel vulnerable, you feel threatened. Why? You're losing energy, excuse me, because the energy around you is not in harmony. And as a result, your energy flattens. Yeah, but if your energy is life and energy flattens, you are threatened. And so all of us read energy. Language was designed way after humans were here. I say from the very first living thing, a bacterium, all organisms read energy, vibration, as it reflects to life. I'll give you a simple example. A snail comes out of an egg. It doesn't know its mother. It doesn't know its father. There's no school. No, how does it know where to go? How does it know what to do to stay alive? There's no instruction. Nobody told it. I say, the snail on the dashboard of that snail is 1 gauge energy. I say, why? If it moves in this direction and the energy goes down, less life. So the snail turns around and moves in the other direction. It will move in a direction where the most life is coming from by reading the energy. Okay. And so the idea is this, is that is this plant a good plant for the snail to eat, or is this a bad plant? And the answer is simple. All atoms and molecules give off energy, so a plant radiates energy. The snail reads the energy. If the energy of the plant and the energy of the snail are in harmony, good vibes. I want to eat that one. But if the plant has a negative energy connotation, so when the snail gets in front of it and reads the energy and it's like, feels weaker, it's like, I'm not touching that. And I say, every organism, including humans, the first language is vibration. Everything is vibration. That's what quantum physics is. The world of physical things is an illusion. I love Einstein's quote, reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. And the point about it is what? Quantum physics, excuse me, the most valid science on this planet, recognizes that matter is an illusion. Everything's a vibration. Vibrations interact. That's called interference. Vibrations come together and empower you. Vibrations come together and disempower you. So all organisms read vibes, good vibes, bad vibes, to determine their action. We as humans have been programmed to do what? Not pay attention to the vibes. Oh, don't go by your feelings. Listen to what this person has to say. And I go, you just lost. Why? I can make up any damn words I want to make up, but my vibes are my vibes. And if I'm going to rip you off, but I give you a line of, oh, you're the most wonderful everything, and you can win, you're rich, you can have any damn thing you want. But my vibe is I'm ripping you off. You can listen to my words, or you can feel my vibe. And the idea is this: nature says, go to the vibe. You can't lie with the vibe. The words, you can make any damn words you want. And so we were programmed incorrectly. We were born to have feelings, and then we're programmed not to use them as the guide in our world. Because when you're in the right place, that vibe goes up. Amplitude, more power, more life. And if you're in the wrong place, the wrong food, the wrong company, the wrong environment, your vibe is going to go down, which is a threat to your existence because vibe is energy. Energy is life. And this becomes so critical. So why now finally, after all that BS I went through, that's belief system, all that BS I went through, we can get to the fact of, Geraldine, your work is the most fundamental physics and science available in understanding the world in which we live. The idea of vibrations can take us from a low, and in harmony, vibrations can cause us to take those vibes in, build up our energy, and experience a different way of life. And it's real interesting because vibes are fundamental. Vibes are quantum physics at the ground level of everything. And the new biology with epigenetics is the biological expression of quantum physics. Quantum physics, consciousness is creating your life experience. The new science, epigenetics, mind controlling genes, is a manifestation of quantum physics. Yep. Whatever consciousness you're holding in your head, you're going to manifest a reality that is in complement to that vibration. And so your most wonderful healing work, darling, is that you provide vibrations that are in resonant harmony, constructive interference, or, hey, your music offers us good vibes. And that's where life comes from. So thank you.
My great joy. Oh my gosh, Dr. Bruce. I'm also so interested, and I think our viewers, about cymatics, about how sound and vibration, not just how it changes shapes, how it makes certain patterns, and how those patterns affect our brain, affect our thoughts. Again, back to what you've been sharing with us. Can you speak
Yeah.
into that?
This is so wonderful because I'm going to use a quote from Albert Einstein. He's my hero with all of this science and stuff like that. He's my hero. And Albert Einstein's quote that is exactly what you're talking about mentions the word field. I say, what is field? In physics, field is the energy aquarium in which we're all sitting. In my field, not only do I have human consciousness affecting my field, which I want to mention. Oh, just because I mentioned, I got to say it. Remember before I said the vibration of the brain determines what's going on, and that a lower vibration in theta is a record hypnosis state, okay? And that these vibes that we are reading of brain activities because I put wires on your head and I'm reading what's going on inside your head. So we are left with the belief that my thoughts are in my head, your thoughts are in your head, and never the twain shall meet. Now it turns out there's a new device called not electroencephalograph, EEG. It's called magnetoencephalograph, MEG. I said, what's the difference? In magnetoencephalograph, the probe is not touching your head. The probe is out here. I say, but it's reading your brain activity. I go, yes, it is. I said, stop. What does that mean? And the answer is profound. Your thoughts are not contained in your head. Your thoughts are broadcast into the field. So human thought is a field, and each of us is creating a field. Now let's go to the Einstein quote. The field is the sole governing agency of the particle. Particle is matter. Field is energy. Let's put it this way. The energy field is the sole governing agency of matter. I go, what does that mean? Just what quantum physics has been telling us. Your energy field is shaping matter. I say, well, give an example. We're going to come to cymatics after I give the first example because most people are familiar with this one. If you ever, you take a piece of iron and you take a file and you file it down, you make a pile of what is called iron filings, of course. And I say, what do? You put the little particles of iron filings in a salt shaker, sprinkle it on a piece of paper, and you get a random pile of iron filings. Every time I do it, random pile of iron filings. But this time, before I sprinkle the iron filings, I take a magnet, put it underneath the piece of paper. Now, when I sprinkle the iron filings, it's not random anymore. It reveals that beautiful complex shape of the magnetic field around the magnet. I go, okay, what's the difference? I say, with no field, the iron particles alone, random, no organization. But once I put a field, an invisible energy field, a magnetic energy field, guess what it did? it shaped matter. This is what Einstein's quote was about. The field is the sole governing agency of matter. And I go, why? Because matter is just a vibration and the field is a vibration, and constructive and destructive interference, we already mentioned, is shaping the matter. So when it comes to what is cymatics, cymatics is a beautiful visualization of energy fields shaping matter. And I say, how does it work? I say, well, you start with like a skin of a drum, very tight and very taut, and you sprinkle particles on it. You could sprinkle powder, talcum, particles of any kind, okay? And I said, then what? I say, underneath this tight drum head, you put a speaker, which makes sound. And what's sound? Vibrations up and down, like waves, the ripples across the pond. I go, so each frequency has a characteristic vibrational wave. I go, then what? I say, well, like the magnet. When I put the magnet underneath, I shaped the overlying iron filings. But in this case, sound is generating a field with what? Vibrations, like ripples on a pond. But each frequency has a unique vibration. I go, yeah, so what? I say, here's the skin of a drum. Here's a vibration. At the high point, the energy is going up. So what's it doing? It's pushing the drum up. And then it's a wave, so there's high and low. So at the high point, I'm up here, then the wave goes into low and the drum comes back down. The next wave pushes it back up and down. So what you can't see, because it's so small and is the vibration, is when a sound frequency is playing underneath the drum, the vibrational beats of the wave are hitting the drum and making a pattern. I say, why? I say, where the peaks of the pattern are, what happens to if I put a talcum powder, piece of powder on that part, and the drum gets knocked up, boom, the particle gets knocked up, okay, and it falls down. If it falls down where there's another high beat, it will get kicked up again. But what about when the wave goes to the low part, no movement at all? I say, oh, well, if a particle falls in, gets kicked off of a high part of a wave, it can fall into the low part of the wave, but there's no vibration. I say, then what happens? Particle stays there. So I say, oh, so that the shape of the particles reveal where the high and the low waves are, okay, of a sound. And each sound has different frequencies. So when you change the frequency, the highs and low patterns change. But so the particles that you put on top of the drum head, well, wherever it's high, particle gets knocked off, but falls down. Wherever it's low, it stays. Now, with that insight, you are now free to show us cymatics.
So I will show this little video that happened last summer when we were recording in a big recording studio here in Los Angeles, and I was recording the bowls, and the engineers, their minds were blown. They called the other engineers from some of the other recording studios and said, "Look at this!" And it's simply this form. I'll put it on.
I'm looking forward to it because for me, that's the visualization of a fundamental fact of physics.
Depending upon what note I was playing, depending upon the octave, etc., that made completely different sacred geometrical shapes. Absolutely, there was different, and the engineers were like, they were blown away. And I said, well, what does it normally look like? And they said, chaos. Looks like snow. It looks like, the screen is never clear with a particular
Yeah.
square or rectangle or rhombus, or they'd nenever seen it before.
No, and it's basically the photons are reflecting the vibration of particles, and so it's a photon is a particle in a real sense of that level. So what your sound is doing is shaping photons in creating those images that complement the sound. That's why when you change the frequency, change the bowl, do two bowls in combination with each other, all of a sudden the complexity of these patterns start to interact. What's that? What do we call that? Interference. And then I say, what does that mean? It says it changes the pattern of the energy. And so since the days of the Greeks, it's always been written that music is controlling at some level the emotional experience, and that there's actually two kinds of music: martial music, military music, which gets us into a vibration of let's march like this, or peaceful music, calming music, which causes your particles to calm down. And that's like, what, 5,000 years ago or something. It's always been that way. Music, calms people. But music could also excite people. It depends on what are the frequencies of the vibration and how they affect, because remember, our cells are receiving vibrations and sending vibrations. So when you are making music, your set of ripples are going to overlap my set of ripples. And I said, well, when ripples come together, there's an interference. And I say, well, if you're playing the beautiful calming music like the bowls emit that sound, you bring a beautiful pattern into the picture. But if you make a raucous sound, there's no pattern. It's all going to be noisy, in fact. And that's, pattern is the harmony, and noise is disharmony. And disharmony is the cause of disease. No harmony in the system. And so music has a healing attribute to it, because if it can bring the harmony back to the cells, harmony is health. And the disharmony, the noise, is disharmony, disease. And so it's not a coincidence. It's the fundamental nature of physics. That
what does physics say to then the beliefs that we've talked about from the very beginning? I'm not good enough. I don't deserve. What happens when the sound is actually raising our consciousness? Can you explain that?
Yeah, because a negative thought, what does it do? It disempowers. What's disempowerment? Loss of energy. That's called destructive interference, bad vibes. Negative thoughts, bad vibes, okay? But positive vibes can alter that whole thing, because positive vibe, constructive interference, enhances the wave pattern, okay? So basically it says that the type of music and the vibration that I am listening to is in harmony or disharmony with my consciousness, okay? When it's in harmony, I enhance my consciousness. When it's in disharmony, I lose consciousness. Everything is noisy. I lost focus. Can't even see it anymore. And that's why music has been around for thousands of years, not by accident. Even the most primitive people had flutes and things like that. Man, once it started, you couldn't stop it, because it has a direct influence on our physiology.
Dr. Bruce, how would you share with our viewers how they can make this joy, these vibes, these positive vibes, really available to them in their daily lives?
Well, we go back to the fundamental fact. When I'm in my conscious mind, I'm sending out positive vibes, because my conscious mind has wishes and desires, which are the positive vibes that I want. When I'm in my subconscious mind, I'm playing programs that I got from other people. Most of those vibes are not good. 70% is believed to be the number that are not supporting you. I say, well, what can I do with them? I say, well, you can change the vibes, and you can also do constructive, destructive interference to find a vibe that will then balance you in neutral. When they come together, you add these two vibes together. I got a weak spot here, but this sound coming in has a positive spot here. I say, you bring them together, you add them up, you can cancel the negative vibe. That's what it's all about. You want to bring vibes into harmony with each other, because when they are, that's more energy. That's what we're trying to do, okay? And I say, your thoughts are vibes, and so are the thoughts of other people around you. And if you're starting to find that the thoughts of other people around you are not in harmony with you, guess what? Your energy, boom, is going to drop down. So all of a sudden it says, be like a snail with one gauge on the dashboard, energy, walk through the world, read the energy. I joke, like in the lecture, I say, there's a big shoe sale at Nordstrom's, a big California exclusive, department store. I say, there's 10 pair of shoes on sale. They're all the same price. You can get them any size and any color. And you walk in the store table, 10 pair of shoes. And then you pick one and you go pay for it and you step out the door and I say, why did you pick that one and not the other 9? You ready for the answer? Good vibes. It made me feel good. I bought them out of feeling. I said, what's feeling? Vibration. I say, you will gravitate to find those vibes that are in harmony with you. So one of the most important things is start surrounding yourself with the vibes that give you pleasure and strength, because those are the ones that are going to feed you, even if you don't change your consciousness. But number 2, of course, is, well, if your consciousness is throwing noise into the system, then the idea is you have to rewrite your subconscious, not conscious. Let's separate again. Conscious, newest part of the brain, creativity. Original part of the brain, subconscious, habit, program, okay? 95% of our life coming from here. If your life's not in harmony with what you want, don't blame the conscious mind. That's the one that's got, when I walked into the room with all the people and said, I got this new science, that was from my conscious mind. Yeah, it was smart as anything could ever be. But it wasn't in my subconscious. So the 5% of the time when I was being conscious, I say, look, you could use this and create and everything. And 95% of the time, my mind wasn't operating from the conscious mind, it was operating from the habit. Well, I don't have a new habit. I just got, here is where the data is, and never got down to here. But if I could take this data and put it into the subconscious, then here's I love it for this reason. You don't have to work your whole damn life to fix things. I go, why? I say, once you change the subconscious, it will automatically 95% of the day work for you in creating what you just made. I said, what does that mean? It says it's unconscious. That's what we're doing every day anyway. We're unconscious. But unfortunately, when we're unconscious, our subconscious programs are running and most of them are negative. And I say, what if you took every negative one and rewrote it to be a positive one? You can't have both a negative and positive at the same time. So if you have a negative behavior, but you put in a positive one, we'll cancel the negative one, and constructive interference, you've already enhanced your consciousness. I say, if you go through and find out where the programs are that are not supporting you, I say, how do you know that? I said, well, look, we just said 95% of your life is the program. Where are you struggling? Relationships, love, job, I don't know, I say, wherever you're struggling, by definition, that means the program that you have existing doesn't support the outcome you want. Now I know what I want to change. I need to change relationship. I'm not going to talk about money in this case. Not going to talk about relationship, meaning I got to program different about relationship. And then lastly, because this is going to leave with everybody with the last question, how do I change that? How do I change it? I go, oh, I guess you're going to ask that. So let me go ahead and tell you. How did you get it in the first place? The first programs you got, your mind was in theta. Theta is a lower vibration than consciousness. I go, that's hypnotherapy. I go, do you have to see a hypnotherapist? I go, no. And I say, why? Because remember I said the vibrations as they ramp up are like focus schoolroom is beta. When you come home, the vibrations slow down a bit. Now it's calm, and it's called alpha, calm consciousness. So there's a range of vibrations up, and when you wake up, you go up to the top, and when you go to sleep, you go to the bottom. Bottom one, delta, is sleep. So between consciousness and delta is theta. I said, what does that mean? I say, every night when you go to bed, the instant conscious mind disconnects, you're asleep. That's what the point of conscious mind is. It's not working, you're sleeping. I go, and then what? I say, the next phase of brain function, when alpha disconnects, you're in theta. I said, what's that? I say, hypnosis. I go, then what? Put earphones on with a program that you want to be true in your life. And every night when you go to bed, if you put the earphones on while you're awake, you'll start to hear some of the program. But the moment your eyes close and you disconnect, consciousness is not listening to the program. Subconscious is engaged. It's downloading. Whatever you put in the earphone is now downloading in the subconscious. Self-hypnosis, self-help programs. That's what you put on. And you put the earphones on, fall asleep. And here's the other part. You're working when you're sleeping. You don't even have anything to do with it. Why? Subconscious is recording. Your conscious mind, you're off in a dream somewhere. You're not even there. So it's like, A, it doesn't take a lot of work to put it in. And B, once it's in, you don't have to work anymore because 95% of the day, whatever that program is, it's going to play anyway. So if you take the negative programs out, rewrite them using self-hypnosis, that's one way. The second natural way is, yeah, but self-hypnosis ends at around age 7 because we're not in theta in our regular life at that time. We're in alpha or beta conscious. I go, so, well, you still learn things after your age 7. They become habits, driving a car, playing a music instrument, whatever, How'd you get those habits? I say, repetition. That's how you make a habit. I say, why is it relevant? If you practice a new behavior and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, that's called habituation. And there's a point, guess what? You've repeated enough times, subconscious learns from repetition. And by the time that program is in, you never have to say it again. It's now automatically part of your program. The moment you wake up, that program is working. Okay? So that is habituation. New age phrase that people state this in a new age phrase: fake it till you make it. What does that mean? I'm not happy? Well, I say then all day long, anytime, repeat. I am happy. In spite of being the most unhappy person in the world, that's not the point. The point is I'm repeating a program. I am happy. I am happy. I am happy. As many times as I can say it during a day, it starts to create a habit. And I say, what does that mean? A program in the subconscious. I said, what does that mean? 95% of the day, that's the program that's going to play. Once it's down there, you never have to work again. Why? The moment you wake up, 95% of your day is going to be happy because that's the function program. So A, hypnosis, self-hypnosis. B, repetition. Little caveat here. I always have to bring it up because people put sticky notes, all over the place, little sticky notes. I go, those are suggestions. Those are not habits. So putting a sticky note in your refrigerator is really nice. Every now and then, oh yeah, I go, no, it has to be repetition. That's what does it. And then lastly, something new. It's called energy psychology. It's a different form of psychology. It engages what is called super learning. Super learning? Yeah, maybe you've seen somebody read a book by picking up the book, turning a page, and moving their finger down the page, just like that, just like I moved it, just as fast as that. I said, what has happened? In super learning, you just read every word on that page, just by moving, just like that. So a super learner can go in a bookstore, open up a book, do it 180 times. That's a book of 180 pages. How long does that take? Well, 182 seconds, 360 seconds, you read a book. I say, yeah, but if you use the technology of super learning, you can download a new belief in minutes compared to self-hypnosis, repetition, very much time involved. Energy psychology is very fast and engages that super learning like a child has in the first 7 years, where it's just like download. That's what it does. Super learning allows you to do that. And so on my website, just to make it easy, which is brucelipton.com, not a big trouble, brucelipton.com. Under resources, I think I have belief change modifications or something like that, some title under resources. There's over 25 different modalities of energy psychology, each listed with a sentence or two and a website. One that you feel like is the one you want to try. They all work for different people. Whatever one feels good, that's the one that works. Okay. And I say, why is it relevant? Because you can rewrite programs in less than 10 minutes once you know what the program is that you want to change. That takes a little bit longer than the 10 minutes usually. But once you got the program you want, you can put it in to the system, usually in less than 10 minutes.
Dr. Bruce, in closing, I'm going to ask one last question. With what is happening in our world right now, which is so
Oh,
huge, do you have anything from the perspective of quantum science, quantum physics,
yes,
to just give us something that
I
can
can tell
help?
you what it is. I can tell you what it is. I wrote a book about it called Spontaneous Evolution. That we're in an evolutionary upheaval because human civilization is unsustainable. We have destroyed the environment and trying to survive here. We've polluted the air, the land, the water, the chemistry that's in there. We've raped and pillaged the resources of the planet. We find ourselves in a non-sustainable situation, and refers to this as what it's called the sixth mass extinction event. 5 times in the history of the planet, life was thriving, and then some cataclysmic event wiped it out. Last time, 66 million years ago, very lush jungles all over the planet, dinosaurs everywhere. A meteor hit near Yucatan Peninsula. It was a giant meteor. It upended the ecosystem, and 90% of life, including all the dinosaurs, disappeared. Last mass extinction. Today, sixth mass extinction. And the reason for this one, the cataclysmic cause, human behavior. We're creating our own extinction. We're not living in harmony, vibration, good vibes with the planet. We're destructive. We're in bad vibes with the planet, and we are killing ourselves. And to give the analogy, because it's more that it's like a right on story of where we are, and that is this: a caterpillar is a voracious organism. You put a caterpillar on a bush, it will eat up every damn leaf on that bush, and there won't be anything left. Just eats everything. Human civilization's in a caterpillar phase. We're destructive of everything around us. Then what happens? The caterpillar goes into a cocoon. And I say, then what? And out of the cocoon comes what? A butterfly. I go, the butterfly has the lightest touch of all the organisms. Hardly even touches the ground. I go, so we went from the most, voracious, destructive organism into the lightest touch out organism called a metamorphosis. I said, yeah, but what's metamorphosis? I said, well, a caterpillar comes in, then a butterfly comes out of this cocoon. I said, what's going on in the cocoon? I said, that's what's going on is the same thing that's going on in our world. And here's what happens. The caterpillar comes in. No longer is it eating. No longer is it moving. It's trapped inside this cocoon. I say, well, a caterpillar has billions of cells. Cells are like miniature people. Cells have jobs. I'm a stomach cell. I'm a heart cell. I'm a skin cell. They all have jobs, okay? So the caterpillar, with all the billions of cells, comes into the cocoon. No more food, no more movement, nothing going on. Guess what? The cells are out of work. There's no job. I'm a digestive cell. There's no food coming in. Oh my God. Guess what? It starts falling apart. The cells start to disassemble. Why? They're not working in harmony anymore with anything. Now you got a soupy cell thing going on. I say, and what's going on? I say, in that soupy cell mixture, there are some special cells called imaginal cells, which I love, which it doesn't mean imagination, but you could use it that way. Imagination cells, imaginal cells. I say, what do they have? A new vision of, let's take this out of work community of cells and build something that is better than that caterpillar. And I say, what's that? A butterfly. So I say, in the cocoon, you have simultaneously the breakdown of a structure and the building up of a new structure. I say, where are we today? I say, we're in a cocoon. Our civilization is so destructive that we have precipitated our own mass extinction. If we continue what we're doing, the end of the line is not 1,000 years from now, it's decades from now. Boom, gone. We did it. Destroyed ourselves. Boom. I go, and what's the choice? The choice is we can build the butterfly version of civilization, one that lives in harmony, vibration, that's what we're, resonance and all that. Okay, cooperativity. I say, so what you're looking at when you look at the news or scan the web or anything at this moment is you're seeing a destruction of an existing system. People are afraid. Oh my God, it's falling apart. And I go, God bless it's falling apart. And I say, why? Because the civilization that exists is self-destructive. You cannot build a sustainable civilization on top of this mess. You have to break it down and build a new one. So I said, guess where we are? Look out the window. It's breaking down. All the symptoms from pandemic to climate change to racial, religious, economic, everything. These are symptoms of not sustainability, no sustainability. And so you're watching something collapse. Now you have a choice. Here's the choice. You could hold on for dear life to the old system and say, come on, don't fall down. Or you can let go of the old system and walk over here and say, we're building something new. This is so much better version. You have a choice. You stick with the old system, you're going to go down with the old system. you start to let go and you say, I'm focusing on a new and a better vision, a world with a different plan, a world with a different vibration, a vibration of harmony, not disharmony. I say, why is that relevant? Because then your energy is going to building something good rather than your energy trying to hold something that's already falling apart. And so we're in the cocoon with the outcome hopefully being the butterfly. If we do that, we thrive into the future. If we go back, make America great again, I say, you go back to that process, that's what's killing us. So we have to evolve out and up. And so here's our choice, folks. We're all out there. Get caught up in the anxiety, the fear, the problem, the collapse, and you're going to take the vibration of destruction. It's called bad vibes. You're going to put it in your system. You're going to cancel your vitality. You're going to die. I say, what else is the option? I say, take your energy that you still have available to you, build new with the energy. Don't try to support the old. That's wasted the energy. You just wasted it. So that's the message of what today's world's about. It says you can live in fear of the thing falling down, or you can live in joy of what you want to create. The hell with the stuff falling down. I don't care. I'm not there. I'm not playing that game. I've stepped out of this game years ago. And tell you what, as you well know, when we get together and do our programs, Geraldine, and you start to participate and you see the programs, you see that community that comes into these programs, so vibrant, so excited, so ready to create the new, beautiful future that's in front of us because consciousness is creating our experiences. Now what we need to do is put the good vibes back into that consciousness. And thank you so much for your work, dearest, because your vibes are evolutionary. Your vibes are healing. Your vibes are creating an opportunity to build something better. And I can talk about the details, but you are creating the vibe. And I love that part. Thank you.
Dr. Bruce, you moved me to tears.
Ha! Well, let's keep doing the work you're doing because that's the work of healing a planet.
Yeah. We start with ourselves, we heal ourselves, we raise our consciousness, we change our beliefs, we change everything as you've shared with us so magnificently, and then everything begins to change around us.
Absolutely. Let's be placebo people for once. Let's think of the good thoughts and manifest them.
Thank you so, so much for your time and for your energy and for all you do for the planet and for your joy that's so big it changes and transforms everyone that comes in contact
I
and
so
beyond.
appreciate that. Together we make a wonderful team.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank everybody out there because everyone who's listening, by definition, I'm going to have to call you a name. You ready? Cultural creatives. Every one of you is a cultural creative. You're seeking answers outside of the box. Why? The box is caving in on itself. The answers are not in the box. They're out here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce.